Karimara, upon introduction.
Namaskar Sarni. This Kashmir Shaivism session as so Vijay ji Karan as conclude the introductory session you source Kashmir Shaivism. So Kashmir Shaivism introduction series was brought to you by Kashmir Heritage Preservation of KOA. Over to you, Vijay ji.
Namaskar, Marasani. This was actually a deep dive on Tattvas, and we took, I guess, 5 sessions or something to complete it. I myself did about 4 sessions of a training before I did this myself with the Swami Lakshmanju kind of classes and stuff. And so last time we covered all 30, by last time we covered all 36 Tattvas. And I'm going to share the last slide that we covered last time, and I'll share. And this is so this was the slide that we covered last time, where we 1 second. Where we talked about these 25 tattvas on the right side here. And then these are the classical tattvas before Kashmir Shaivism, and these are the additional tattvas. These and then there are also the veils that I have not captured here, the kanchukas and all. But these were the last ones that the divine realm, the 5 tattvas here that we covered last time. And then I played an 8-minute audible, which was basically Tattva Illuminate. Sorry, this was actually Tantra Illuminated. I misspelled it. Narrated by Chris Wallace. So we basically showed how these divine tattvas basically pervade all of this prakriti, whatever is and whatever is not. I mean, whatever is still in this realm of possibilities, but is not manifested itself. That everything is pervaded by this Shiva, and what is good and what is bad is all pervaded by Shiva, and or Shiva Shakti combination, because they are actually one and the same. So we talked about this, and so today we'll do the final session, hopefully. So these are the five tattvas, and we showed that these tattvas actually manifest in the prakriti, from the purest subjectivity to pure subjectivity, purest to pure. So all these 5 are subjective. They are subjectivity. They are that divine nature, but they reveal themselves in phases. So Shiva is the purest phase, which is where it's a purest subjectivity, that is pure I-ness. And then Shakti is purest subjectivity in which Shiva's I-ness reflects upon itself, and that's the Vimarsha. That's what's called Vimarsha. This is called Prakasha. And then there is Sadashiva, where the I-ness, thisness starts to set in, or there's Ichha, the urge, primordial urge to manifest itself. That's what happened in Sadashiva. Then Ishvara is the knowledge Shakti, the Gyan Shakti. And then Shuddha Vidya was the last one, which is the last phase before the manifestation actually starts. This is the it's still pure subjective consciousness, but duality starts to set in here, where the separation between the I-ness and thisness, between this divine and the duality in this nature actually starts to set in. So, and then the expression of universe sets in from Shuddha Vidya at Pashanti level. We talked a little bit about Pashanti level. And then Maya starts to add the limitation, the Kanchukas at this stage. So till this point, it's all divine. And then the divinity starts to get limited by the Kanchukas. And then we have the world manifestation of the world, of the Prakriti. So this is the last stage. And so sense of I am this array of energies. Now the energies start. The energies are the ones which basically manifest the universe. So and these are energy are really vibrations, and that's what's called spanda. Spanda, E is equal to h nu is what I said last time. And Nataraja's Damru is all about that vibration. So the vibration is at the whole heart of this manifestation, and that vibration sets in at Shuddha Vidya level. And in our Panchastvi and all, there is a lot of description of how goddess descends and manifests herself in the universe through these vibrations and spanda. And then there is also, we have this concept of matrika shakti, means the language, matra, the language, the words, the letters and words. And this is actually the picture of matrika shakti, where in English language there are 26 letters, A, B, C, D, and so on, Z. And in Sanskrit there are like 50, which are like A, I, E, and all. This is all A, I, E, and these are consonants and everything, vowels and consonants, all of them are there in this. And on the top is and our bottom is sh. So um, uh, I kept this picture here to really show something. In our Kashmiri tradition, we have preserved this knowledge, and we have preserved these concepts till now. It's just that we have not really realized, we don't realize, at least I did not realize what we were preserving. So anyway, I want to also show here, and I think I did this earlier, that these five that I talked about earlier, Shiva is the Chit Shakti, that means the energy of consciousness. Okay. And the Shakti is the Ananda Shakti, which is the energy of bliss. And Sadashiva is the Ichha Shakti, where Ichha Shakti predominates, and this is the energy of will, And then Ishvara is the Jnana Shakti. The predominant Shakti is Jnana Shakti, which is all knowing. And then Shuddha Vidya is predominant in the energy of action, Kriya Shakti, which is all doing. So this is how the manifestation happens, from Ichha to Jnana to Kriya, and then the manifestation happens. So I just wanted to show this, and then before going to so these are basically the phases. This is the purest elements and purest tattvas, and this is the pure tattvas. Okay, so uh, the primal impulse towards self-expression happens at this ichha shakti, which is Paramashiva, or Sadashiva, and then conception, perception, and expression in all forms in Prakriti, that happens at this Suddha Vidya level. Okay, so this is where the expression, or the final phase of divinity before it manifests itself.
So basically, if you go to the previous chart, what you are saying is you're showing it in the reverse order, right? How from consciousness we get into this human realm, right? That's what.
Correct. And this arrow is basically going in this direction.
Okay.
Yeah. So Shuddha Vidya is the most within reach for the ordinary mortals in this world of duality. So this is the closest, this is where we can reach easiest. Okay. And in Kashmir, the dominance of Devi or Shakti and Shakta tradition is because this is the closest reachable kind of a realm where you can realize divinity. Okay. And I wanted to kind of show this Lila Rabda that we sing in Tulmul when we go. We've been doing this like since our childhood, and I didn't even know, I still don't know how to say it. And I have been going to Tulmul, all of us have been going to Tulmul all along. And recently I saw this translation of Lila Rabda. It's basically written by ordinary Adi Shankara, and it's in Sanskrit, of course. These are the Sanskrit shlokas. Of course, I've made it very small here, so you can't read it very well. But what I wanted to show here is that, this is Lila Rabda here. And if I just play this, I don't know whether you'll be able to hear it or not. Are you able to hear? Lila Rabda So Balyaditya and all these words, Sanskrit. I used to kind of just narrate it, not knowing what we're saying. So I just wanted to kind of show what this is saying and how this is all what we have been studying. लीला है जिनकी सृष्टि रचना पालन करना और लाई करना. Lie is basically just uh, integration. It's basically क्या कहते हैं अंग्रेजी में जो physics में आजकल वारिया entanglement. We're all entangled to each other. Lie mazivanch. We're all entangled at the core level. We are all सृष्टि से परे योगी शिव के अंतर हृदय विचरण करना. And then prata surya sumuh prakash ke, bala aditya. Bal means early morning, aditya means sun. Surya sumuh prakash. So all of these things are basically what we have been studying. This is how manifestation happens, and I wanted to particularly show this particular one. This one is a se sh tak varnu mein तुम्ही को विलसित मूर्त रूप विद्यमान रहती सृष्टि के सब भूतों में भूत गई तत्वास में. So vidman रहती means all pervading in all of these elements. Nad anahat, this is like sound, spanda, the sound. And shrishti rachita pranav onkar. Onkar shabd is that this primordial sound of God. And ऐसी कमल नैनी वाली माँ गौरी को मेरा प्रणाम लीला रब्दा. Like this is what we have been singing all along, and all this philosophy that we are talking about is all embedded in this. These are all the stanzas. There are 10 stanzas in this, and then at the end, it says prata kala. Early in the morning, I'm going and kind of invoking this bhakti to this mata, and so this is actually what we have been repeating for 700 years. And we preserved it because this is all something Shankara got from Kashmir. This Shakta concept actually came to him when he visited Kashmir, and we visited, Shankaracharya temple and Parbat and all these places. That's where he actually got this, and then the Sharda temple, of course. So, and then he put this in his Saundarya Lahari and all these bhajans that he composed. So we have preserved it all along, and then there's a YouTube link to this translation here. What I played earlier is not the original, is not this particular YouTube link. That's the original one that I wanted to kind of play because you are all familiar with that. But this is, I got this particular stanza here also linked, but I'm not going to play that. It's going to take time. But just wanted to show that if you read all of this, it's the gist of whatever we have been talking about, So, and then I'll also, before I pause, I'll also say that, we do a Matrika Pujan. I got this from Kashmir as it is, which I think is something that it's a website, which is, I think, maintained by these people from Pamposh Colony. They have got this organization. They've been there for like 30, 40 years, maybe more, 50, 60 years. So they have said this about Matrika Pujan is another forgotten ancient Kashmiri Pandit festival that was celebrated coinciding with Manchur Tuhar. This is the day celebrated with a belief that sound is the divine Shabda Brahma, and language has been derived from the divine Damru of Lord Shiva. These sounds, which are 14 in number and divided into 8 groups of consonants and vowels, are called Maheshwara Sutrani. The vowels begin with A, consonants begin with K, Ka, Ch, T, P, Y, Sh. Okay. So they are all, these are the first letters of those, those sutranis. These are sutranis. And hence the prayer is offered to the deities in this order. Amaye, Kamaye, Charvangaye, Tan Karandaye, Taraye, Kyatham, whatever. I used to hear this all along, but I never really thought that this is all basically this Matrika Puja, this Matrika Shakti or Shakti that we have been talking about. And in ancient times, this day was actually celebrated to initiate the schooling of the children. Therefore, the prayers were offered. So this is what say. So I just wanted to pause here and show, or maybe I'll just show this one here also. I talked about this Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and all these things. This is, by the way, in the other reverse order now, or the right order now, and how these unlimited Shaktis here get get limited by all these kanchukas, and then because of that we have karma, we have arrogance, we have craving, we have guilt, we have fantasy, we have causality and all that stuff. And this is the diversity of creation that kind of happens here. And going from here to here, or reaching divinity, happens in different ways. And we have some goddesses actually assigned for this. I've kept this interview here, a link here to. There's a thing, I don't know whether you have heard about this Buddha at the gas pump. Has anybody heard about Buddha at the gas pump?
Yes, it's a good
No.
series.
Yeah, so they have a every week actually for last, I don't know, decades. Every week that I think is Rick Archer is his name, and he records these interviews, and he has a separate section on Kashmir Shaivism. And this guy Paul Muller Ortega has given an interview. I think this is 2017, and after this also he gave another interview during the COVID time. But this original one in 2017 it's a quite long interview, 2 hour long interview. He has also summarized this Kashmir Shaivism very well, and he has talked about these different Vama current, Jeshta current, and Raudri current. And then when I kind of looked into this, it was very fascinating interview that I have a link for. And he talks about these, and these are all the goddesses that we have in sorry, we have Vama is Kali, and we have Kali's temple in Fatehkal. It used to be a huge grand temple of Kali, which was basically destroyed and converted into this mosque, khanka, whatever it's called. And now we have just a wall of that. And then we have Durga Parvati, this is the Raudri current, and Parbat Tulmultishi is manifestation of the same. And then Jeshta Zithir, this is another current which actually goes in the reverse direction. Basically you are going, and this Paul Muller Ortega actually explains this going in the reverse direction, what it means, and so on. So recently we had a good session on Jeshta Devi, where Subhash Kak also talked about how the importance of Jeshta and all that stuff. So anyway, this is all something that we have been kind of keeping or maintaining and preserving, not knowing really what we are doing. But these are all you can see the divine land that we have in Kashmir. Shankaracharya in the middle, Jeshta Devi on the one side, Parbat on the other side, and then Kali, the downtown. All of this was all divine thing, which was all destroyed. So anyway, and then I have actually here the quantum realm. Recently there was 2020, there was a Nobel Prize in Physics to Roger Penrose, and he has been writing about this consciousness as foundational, and he has been working with one anesthesiologist Hameroff from Arizona, and Anirban actually, who's in Japan. He's an Indian Bengali guy, and these two links I have for music of consciousness with references to these Penrose and Hameroff. It basically talks about quantum consciousness, how consciousness arises in our neurons, and then quantum vibration, sound frequency, cognition. All of that is actually described in very good, because Anirban is an Indian. He also has, he knows this science, and he also knows the Indian tradition, which also, just like us, he did not realize till he started doing this work in Japan on artificial brain, and then he started kind of finding these things, and this it's very fascinating what he's got here. And then similarly on entanglement, the 2022 Nobel Prize happened here, And this actually the reason why these Nobel Prizes are happening now lately is because these concepts are now being used for quantum information science, which is enabling the next big thing, the quantum computing. And because it's such a big thing and it's going to change the world and it's going to be huge commercial opportunities, just like the computing and the internet was earlier. So certainly people are starting paying attention to this, and Nobel Prizes are being given to this because it's enabling this whole new field of quantum information science, which is enabling quantum computing and so on. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of talk about this and then see whether you have any points to make or any questions or any discussion that we can have about what we have learned about this whole, these concepts that we have talked about here, so far. These or actually, let me just show it here in this. Before we move on, I will. By the way, I also have this book from Shiva to Schrodinger, which also basically reveals all of these things, the spanda or concepts of these, and how ancient Trika is basically aligned with cutting edge modern quantum physics. And this is all basically, I have just taken this directly from the book, which is on Amazon, that actually he just published like a few months back or 4 or 5 months back. Okay, so anyway, this is what we have discussed so far. Now tell me, um, any questions? Maybe I should stop sharing, and we can just talk about these things. It's like a half an hour mark now, and we can see if you have any questions, or how do you internalize this whole tattva model in our life, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, that was my question actually. I mean, now that we've learned it, and I fear that after we're done with these classes, we get into a regular routine and into the life, the way we have been living, and we may or may not realize these ideas or keep them or remember them. The question is that, the internalization of it. How do we do that, and what motivates us to do that is my question, first of all. What will be the motivation? I know some of us are here and we've been here regular, but in order to internalize, we ought to assess what sort of motivation.
Would you like to start, Dilipji, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is if there are certain questions, or sometimes we tend to, the way I look at it, agar mushkil chuan, if you have a problem or something. I mean, with these ideas, you can have a different perspective about things, and have a level of intellect to accept the things as they come across, instead of fighting it and feeling bad. With this education and knowledge, I think having these perspectives, if we understand them properly, it will be easier to accept the world as is.
Yeah, we have all been limited for a reason, and therefore whatever we are doing because we have some strengths, and we have to just utilize those, but we have to recognize that those strengths are not unlimited, and we have other limitations where we are very weak. So accept that, but we have to play a role based on our purpose, based on our strengths and stuff, and we just keep playing that role. I guess that's what I hear you.
Yeah,
And in that process, actually, what I said in one of the sessions, we said that every time we are doing this work, whatever work we are doing, if we do it with some kind of a selfless purpose, with a purpose in life, and not make it about myself and making more money, making a palace, making all this thing, if we do it with that sense, then that the Ichha Shakti becomes purer, and you dissolve your limitations. The Kanchukas get dissolved, and you become a siddha. You get more capabilities, and you're able to accomplish more in your life if you have that approach where you are trying to dissolve your conchukas every time. That's what we discussed earlier. It just reminded me of what you just said, that we accept our limitations and then work around to overcome them.
Yeah.
Anybody else would like to chime in?
I mean, it's all fair. It's right. My question is, yeah, you internalize it. How do you really internalize is the question. We have been internalizing it over the last, I would say, few months, because we are meeting almost every other week. And because of these meetings, what we are doing is sometimes we do a search on Google, Wikipedia, or sometimes you buy a book, read a few chapters. You get involved in similar things. That helps you internalize. So, and I would say thank you to you, Vijay and Dilip and others who initiated this. Because you did initiate these sessions, we have been able to internalize it. If it was not there, I don't see there was any. I mean, I would not probably have looked into it. So the question is, how do we continue to internalize it? Because if we do not continue these group cohorts, right, at some intervals, I don't know what those intervals would be, we would go back to where we were. We are. That's where that's my perspective.
Yeah. So Amiji, but I want to share an idea for refuting that what you said, that we may not be able to continue with this idea. So what Vijay has.
Before you continue, do we want to record this part as well of the conversation?
That's a good question. Huh?
Why not?
Maybe not.
I don't know.
No, I said why not?
Is it worth?
We are just discussing this. I mean, this is the valuable part of it, right? This conversation is a valuable part. I mean, we don't have to be insensitive to anything. So it can be.
Yeah, I think this may also be valuable. The discussion
valuable.
may also be valuable.
Discussion is valuable.
Yeah. So the Amiji, the idea that I was going to share was, see, one thing that Vijayji has helped us learn is that these ideas have been time tested and have stayed and are, which means that they have a lot of credibility to it. So one thing that I feel, because of its credibility, it's easier to follow it. You don't question it. So, or, the skeptics in us are fewer, because you see, this is our heritage. And Vijayji, thank you so much. And he broke it down for us and made it easier. So we don't fight it. Internalizing is relatively easier compared to a new idea which doesn't have this time-tested thing. That's so. It's the reason I'm saying it is that this is a way to sort of convince yourself or say, yeah, hey, our generations followed it, and now we know what it is, and we sort of, our logical reasoning also aligned with it to some extent because of these ideas that have been broken down. So that may be a way to think of it and believe. Whether or not it will happen is different, but and believe that we can internalize it.
Yeah, and Ashish, actually, I want to correct you a little bit, Dilipji, that I started this whole thing just like everybody else here, not knowing anything about this whole thing. But just because I saw these parallels now, and I saw these people, the scientists and technologists and all kind of getting attracted to these concepts, I thought this is our heritage, that, it's an opportunity for us to rally around this heritage and bring us forward and make sure that we don't lose it. And because miraculously it has survived,
Right.
it's all the more reason for not losing it. And and most importantly, because it's resonating today, it's applicable, and our younger generation, can also resonate with it. And by the way, we had a session last week with the youngsters, and then I worked offline with one of them, and we have figured out some game plan on how they will work on these presentations, and we are making chapters out of every presentation. And so whoever is interested in a particular chapter, they can go and just look at watch that short section and have put it on these different channels through this thing. So my motivation was to also make sure that our youngsters really see the future in our past, and so that is another thing. But I want to correct you that I'm no better than any of you, and just like Ashish just said that Lila Rabda is in Jantri, and also there's a meaning in the Jantri itself. Magar मैं उस तख्त को ना पच ब्रोंट, I would not even look into it.
Right.
We were doing Herath, and I would just tell my mom, what the hell are you doing? What is this? This has no meaning. Ichwana to go or Shavana Atre when Rath, Atre when Ye. It's like you so it changed. The paradigms changed when I started learning this, and I wanted to share it like I said earlier, like a child in the candy shop, and see something, and then I'm trying to share something with you guys. Doesn't mean that I'm any wiser than any of you. It's just that I'm excited that I'm finding candies out there.
Namrata,
sharing.
you're not more than it, but see, look, here's what you led us to. What happened is that you got motivated for whatever
Yeah.
reason you did, and that motivation caused you to spend that time, prepare these presentations, collate the data, read, and then break it down for us. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's work, and
A lot of and you see the energy behind it. There's an energy behind it, and that energy is what is brushing off of us also. See, you brought that energy.
yeah, and I think we'll be successful if the youngsters get energized also. Yeah.
Also.
So, when you can somebody else, Vijay ji or anyone else, Ashwini,
Maybe everybody should say
yeah,
at least something. What something.
Shivanji, yeah, say something about what you got out of this.
Whatever you want, you can share.
Then
whatever you want.
we can spend another 5-10 minutes, and then I want to share some fun facts after that.
So Vijay, you gave us a kind of deep insights and of this Kashmiri Shaivism. It looks like very complicated to understand, but obviously to follow it is very difficult. But you gave us very good insights. Thanks for that, educating that. But as far as following this is only not by knowledge, as you said, that you have to do selfless work, which is essence in Bhagavad Gita. Basically, whatever you do, you have to not get a karma phala from that, what we call. So that is the main thing. Then the purity kind of starts from there.
Yeah. Swami Lakshmanju's article or chapter on now Kundalini. He talks about the Ichha Shakti. Ichha Shakti is really the power behind Kundalini Shakti, and that Ichha Shakti is much ultimate. There are 6 categories of Ichha Shakti. The ultimate Shakti is to really strive for union with God. Pratibhignya. The second one is about what you just said. Doing selfless work. That is the second one. And in Kashmir Shaivism is special that work, being enlightened while working in the world is the highest state. You achieve that union with God while you are doing your work in the world, not sannyasi, not as a sannyasi, but while doing work.
True.
So it is Jivan Mukti, and that's a special thing that came in Kashmir Shaivism. And so you're right. That's the ultimate thing, and that actually dissolves our kanchukas. It dissolves our vasanas, and impressions that we gathered over lifetimes, not only one lifetime, but over lifetimes, we can dissolve them.
It is manana, shavana, and all this you have to analyze first, then internalize, and that's what our basic Vedanta says.
Ultimately, one has to experience it. And
true.
Jnana is,
you can have a knowledge, but unless you experience it, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just the information.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And for that, Kashmir Shaivism gives upayas, Shaktopaya and Kshamopaya and all of which is all built on top of the Yoga Sutras. So it's not that Kashmir Shaivism brought all of this. They just integrated all of this from the 5,000 years of history and put it all together and gave it as a package.
Yeah, more simpler form. Yeah.
Bay, any other comments?
Well, most of the times we get taken with what is in front of us. We just perform our day-to-day and react to the environment, family environment, work environment, or anybody else with strangers. But this gives you a platform or a roadmap where you can become a witness to all this, put a distance between what is happening in front of you to what you are perceiving and how you are analyzing it. What I'm trying to say is it takes you a level beyond obvious, beyond BMI level. And that's what gets you internalize it as, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? What is the outcome of it? It gets you thinking on those lines. And therefore, you don't get bound down with the little things. And that's what Vijayji said in Nishkam Karma, Akanksha Fal, Fal ki Akanksha nahi kar lo, and just keep on doing your work is like a worship rather than as that you have to do. So this opens up the doors of internal thinking, and don't stay at the BMI level alone and just go above that. Hopefully improve your own quality of life and opposed to the issues in front of you. Certainly beneficial, but most of us are 7th, 8th, and beyond generation, and decade, now that we don't have the pressures of our working life, therefore we are able to spend more and more time on these things. But it's nice that you are able to get young people at least introduced into this, and so that they don't get bogged down with the routine, mundane things in front of them, that there is truth beyond what is obvious. I'm just going on, and I'm not saying anything concrete, but at least this is what I'm bubbling up in my mind, and I'm sharing with you.
Sense. You make perfect sense. I think I think one of the things that Vijayji is trying to do is also trying to get these things, this knowledge and wisdom to youngsters, and so they start believing in it, as you said, at an early age, rather than making it a secondary thing after your work life or something like that.
Yeah, the reason why in the beginning I talked about the 100th day is because it's they who will be around that time, and we will not be around that time, most of us. So it's their future which is also at stake, and they can use this wisdom to shape that future with the field of all possibilities that Shiva is. Everything is possible. You can paint your house with some paint and the whole house will be a solar battery. These are all innovations. These are all possibilities, field of all possibilities. You can create energy from nothing, from air. So these are all field of all possibilities. Shiva is, and you can realize this because you are empowered to do it. And who knew that we'd be able to just tune into any signal and get a signal from remotest place in the world in Viceron so quickly.
See,
Yeah.
the idea is that if you are able to embrace this wisdom early on, then the youngsters, guess what they can do.
Yeah, exactly. Rekha ji and Priya, we want some other voices.
Yeah, I just want to know if there is a mantra like Shivoham. right? And that is, I am Shiva. Then why there are limitations? If I am Shiva, then why there are limitations?
I mean, what we try to learn from this, or what we learned from this, is that Shiva himself has to, because Shiva is the field of all possibilities. But Shiva himself, or it's not a man or a woman or something. Shiva is not a guy in the sky. Shiva is some supreme consciousness, which is a void. It's void. In physics, they call it towards it ether. It's not even ether. It's nothing. Okay, but it becomes something in the world through Shakti, which manifests Shiva, which is a field of all possibilities. Shiva is trying to enjoy that field of all possibilities in this Prakriti and making this Prakriti work. Now, for this Prakriti to create those possibilities and manifest those possibilities, he has to limit himself to through all these different forms to do stuff and to achieve stuff, to make those possibilities happen. So these limitations are there for a reason, and they're not something bad. They're for a reason, because an explorer can become an explorer if he has some limitation on space. He wants to know more about what is out there in this other world or other ocean or other undersea, whatever, the explorer. Similarly, a painter or a historian, they have to have some limitation which will give them the urge to know more and make that field of all possibilities happen. So that's what we were trying to show when we were discussing those 5 kanchukas, that these veils are there for a reason, for this world to really work. And Kashmir Shaivism is giving a lot of sanctity to this world. It's not seeing this as something bad. It's seeing this as a means for the field of all possibilities to manifest itself. I think that's the way I was trying to explain it. And again, I could get an aha moment and kind of see something different and something more profound, but I have not done that. That's what I thought. So that was Rekhaji, right?
Right. Thank you.
So that's what our wisdom kind of says. It wants us to accept those limitations as something. We are playing a role in a film. It's a Leela. Leela shna wana Kashir pet. It's Leela, Bhagwan says. And Atma is a role. And we have to play that role well. If we always know that, hey, I'm not this role, I'm actually Shiva, then we will actually play that role better, because I want Shiva to be able to manifest his field of all possibilities through my role, through my form. Anything else? Anybody else want to say, Priya or Surenji? Otherwise, I can go. It's like 10:45. I want to spend a few minutes on something else that I have. No?
Well, no, I'm just a listener for now.
Oh, okay. Okay, Bukarotele Beshir. Priya, you want to say something quick? Okay, let me just go ahead and share something more. Okay, so this is something I wrote here. We talked about. Sorry, Ahmed. So this thing, this divine pervades all of this universe, and so all of these Gyanendras, Karmendras, Tanmatras, all of these things are instruments which are being used for. These are all goddesses in Kashmir. In Kashmir, we worship goddesses, and these goddesses are actually residing in our body. Mandar, this is a temple of all goddesses. In fact, even Yogini is one of these goddesses. So feeding the goddesses of senses. So the mindfulness that people talk about a lot these days, And there is a Turyatita. Turyatita is, I'll talk about this a little bit more. And I talked about Jivan Mukta earlier. So the correct and complete meeting between the energies of senses, means of sensing, that is tanmatras and all, and their respective sense objects is very rare. We hardly ever, for example, when we are eating, we hardly focus on eating and enjoy the rasa that comes out of that eating, and enjoy every morsel of it, and mindfully eat. We're always either watching TV or doing something else and talking about something else and stuff. We never really enjoy. And the same thing about, a painter, or somebody else. Then we have to really do with complete mindlessness. I mean mindfulness. In reality, most of us live in a mental world of our own making, that we are rarely well grounded in the sensual world. When we do rarely pay attention, it is filtered through our mental constructs. So Kashmir Shaivism, better known as Trika, stresses sensual meditation to cultivate an ability for senses to meet the objects fully, even in extreme mindfulness in left-leaning schools, where they even enjoy the even worst. Their union with God is so intense that through their senses, whatever comes, they enjoy it. Even the foulest of smells, they enjoy it. They live in the shamshans, and they are eating out of the skulls and stuff like that. So they live in a totally sensual world. The reward from the goddesses is an aesthetic rapture, chamatkara, awe, tripti, or ananda. This is when one is fully conscious of what one is doing, and that's called the para state. And we are not in this state. Most of us, the models, are not in that state. But when we reach that state, we get rasa from all of the manifestation of Shiva and Shakti, and they are all over the world, entangled in every part of this universe. So there is no differentiation between me and you and rocks and keyboard and everything else, good, bad, or scary. We are all in aesthetic rapture of enjoying everything that we see in this world and we experience in this world. So this is, for example, a Japanese tea ceremony. They're fully in that, or meditative savoring of food, or meditative savoring of music or beauty. This is where we are feeding the goddesses. We are feeding the goddesses in our body by enjoying everything that we meet. And last week or 2 weeks back, in the Sangha, in Kashmir Shaivism Sangha, which some of you may be attending, there was a reference to Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 verse 11, where it talked about this feeding of goddesses from Rahasya school. So Bhagavad Gita was happening, like much before Kashmir Shaivism came, but Tantra was there even before that, and that used to be called Rahasya school Shastra. Rahasya Shastra means like mysterious Shastra. And this was there. And what Abhinavagupta and all did later was they put all of that tantric thought together and created a platform where they use all Bhagavad Gita and everything else and Vedas and everything and Tantras together and form this Kashmir Shaivism. So Krishna is telling to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, and and basically he's talking about this feeding the goddesses. So feeding the goddesses is this. And then in that lecture they talked about how Swami Lakshmanju, he was listening to Bach in Srinagar, and then he said he had heard it for the first time, because this John Hughes and all played it for him at some concert or something, and he said that this was massaging every cell in my body with harmonious music. So basic, again, goddesses are being fed by these senses. By the way, a couple of weeks back, Bhagavad Gita and Natya Shastra. Natya Shastra is all about rasa, this feeding the goddesses and enjoying everything in life. That is Natya Shastra. And then, Natya Shastra was recently given the UNESCO's Memory of World Register in April 2025, last month. So anyway, I just wanted to share this with you, that, living in this manner in the world and enjoying everything that we do, whether we are designing microprocessors or writing code or making a painting or cooking food or eating food, everything we enjoy, we feel this ananda every moment, and that is Jivan Mukti. And people like Guru Nanak, or those enlightened souls, they felt this. They were always in the state of Ananda. So I wanted to share that with you. And this was my, my way of kind of internalizing what we have learned, and I will not share that with you right now. But I wanted to also show that hopefully we'll do a next deep dive on upayas, and the upayas are actually based on yoga, which is Ashtanga yoga, and then there are some things in that I started studying already, and then different Shaktopadhyaya, Shaktipatha, and Anupaya, Shaktopaya, Sambhavapaya, all of these things we can cover. And lastly, I already showed you that these 8 buddhi, ahamkara, manas, intellect, ego, mind, plus hearing, touch, form, taste, and smell. These 5 sensations. This is called Puryashtika. Puryashtika is like the combination of these 8, the city of 8. This is city of 8, and this is the only thing that survives when we die. And I wanted to kind of show you.
Vijayji, Priya has her hand up.
Can you go back
Okay.
to the previous slide? Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I did not respond earlier. I was just wondering what you mean by feeding the goddesses. Are these particular attributes or characteristics, or just was wondering what that means, because I found that to be quite nice, that there's yoginis within our body, which is a temple, but just didn't know what that referred to.
I think what that is referring to is that these senses that we have, these are basically getting sensations. They're enabled. These sensations are enabled by Shiva, and they are for a good reason, what Shiva, to experience the world, right? So and because these sensations are experiencing the world, and all of that world in the whatever it is, whether it's good or bad, whether it's manifested or not manifested, these sensations are supposed to enjoy them, because that's what he wants to do. It's the swatantriya for Ananda, and that's the only reason why there is manifestation. Without this Shakti and goddesses and all, Shiva would be a void. It would be nothing. So because it's not nothing, and Shiva has a purpose for this world, for this Prakriti, and we are some of the forms in that Prakriti, we ideally, that's what the purpose of this manifestation for Shiva is, that he wants to enjoy this world. He wants to enjoy his creation.
So
and
it's
everything in this creation, whether it's good or bad, like foulest of shit or whatever it is, cruelty, and there is Ananda in all of that. And
so they want you to, is it true that then they want you to kind of immerse yourself in the experience while you're
experience, yes,
I
whether
see.
you're
So
painting,
be one with it.
be
kind
one
of.
with it, and that's
Okay.
the ultimate meditation, and
Okay,
that you
okay.
do every moment of your life. It's not like when
Right.
you're sitting, legs are folded and eyes are closed, and that meditation is not the highest meditation. Highest meditation is when you are feeding the goddesses in
And then
every
you
act
want
of your life.
and
There
then
is
you want to do it without the fear or the desire, like we mentioned in the
Fear,
Bhagavad
yes, and
Gita.
if you have fear, you overcome that fear, and
Got
that's
it.
part of this. That's part of this yogas. This yamas and
Upayas.
niyamas, upayas, the non-violence and truthfulness, and all those things.
Oh, okay.
We can talk about that later.
Great. Thank you.
so Priya,
Okay.
another interpretation of feeding the goddess can be,
Uh-huh.
in tantric is the yoga is a subset of tantric, right? We have these chakras in the body, and each chakra and each of those are like, they are, you said, our body is a temple, so all of those
Yeah.
parts are the goddesses, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Mula
Got it.
is one,
Yeah.
all of them are goddesses. Maybe it can have that similarity too, because if you are doing what you are doing, you are actually feeding those chakras, and that's feeding the goddess.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's a good, actually, Manipura chakra, for example, is the one which is right in front of adrenal glands. You're a doctor,
Mhm.
and that is the area where you have the fight or flight,
Right.
right?
Cortisol.
Right. So
Yeah.
so when you have a challenge in front of you, and your senses are catching that challenge and experiencing the challenge, what is the best way you experience that and you fight it? It's not flight but fight. You have an option to fight it also, flight also, but you also have an option to fight it. And that fighting is a goddess, like goddess Durga in our heart is the goddess for courage.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have courage.
Courage and compassion both.
Courage and compassion both. So
Okay.
and all of those things are actually built over thousands of years of wisdom, which has culminated into Kashmir Shaivism finally.
So it sounds almost like if you do something out of fear or desire for attachment, you will burn those inner goddesses. You will destroy those chakras inside your body, actually, instead of building them.
You will
Well,
not destroy, you will conquer the chakras. Like, if you think about the Muladhara as a chakra at the bottom of the spine, so that is actually connected with your sensuousness, right? So how do you feed that? How do you, so there are like, again, upayas and everything. And when Vijayji was referring to this whole kola philosophy and, good and bad of those things, some of those things, foul smells and other things come from that chakra, right? You can feed that in many ways, right? So, it's not burning the chakra. It's more like, I would say, conquering the chakra, going beyond that to the next level.
You're using the goddesses to navigate.
Okay.
So I want to, I mean, we are out of our time now. I want to show you something about this, near-death experience. We talked about this Puryashtika, right? This is what survives. Okay. So your body, like 5 Mahabhutas, like that our physical body is made of, that dies, but something remains. So I wanted to kind of show you child near-death experience and mental health breakthrough. Actually, let me just show that there is this lady, Donna Thomas, who's a research fellow at the University of Central Lancaster. And, she has done a groundbreaking work with the potential to fundamentally transform the current clinical practice. And Evelyn Elliser, expert of near-death experiences or death-related experiences and project leader of an investigation into spontaneous after-death communication, she has written this book. And then the book review says, this MD, this James Lake, he's an author. He says, and he's basically the book review is for an imaginative paradigm for mental health care, ideas and methods shaping the future. So this is all coming from the near-death experience of a child. So and because this Donna Thomas was she was a child when she had a near-death experience, and she's basically written that a mind-opening exploration of what these experiences reveal about the nature of human consciousness in a post-materialistic world. So this is actually a scientific research into NDE to prevent suicide and address broader mental health epidemic. So this particular YouTube, which is actually from February 10, 2025, very recent, the last 3 minutes of this basically talks about how this work on near-death experience has actually resulted in some scientific research to prevent suicide. So as you know, there is a epidemic going on of mental illness, and some of these can be actually addressed by these insights that have been obtained from this. So also in this Scientific American, June 2024, last year, there is an article called Beyond the Veil. Near-death experience is really about, that you're going beyond the veil to the divine realm. So there is this person who's retired diplomat and civil servant who lives in Brussels. He had a near-death experience when he was a child, but he told nothing about it to anybody. This happened to him at 13 years of age, and he was hospitalized for acute appendicitis. So he vividly recalls seeing his body on the operation table and then passing through a tunnel where he met strange beings. And this is all from Scientific American, by the way. Met strange beings who radiated luminosity and goodness. And then he hears that your time has not come. An older being said. He intuited that was God. This is this guy who's saying that he intuited this happened to him at the age of 13. And you have not undertaken your earth mission. So this is what happened to him. And then there are other stories that, in some of one of these sanghas, in Swami Lakshmanju's case, one of the Kashmiri Pandits and all, he had the same experience. He was gone. And then he says, oh, then I was about to go. And then Swami Lakshmanju came and he intervened and he said to Yamdutas, no, he cannot go at this time. He has to, this is Adgai Navalli. I said, not Navalli. You got the wrong person. So, and then there is a person, Anita Murjani, you might have heard about. She, was an Indian, of course. She grew up in Hong
Singapore.
Kong.
Is she Singapore-based, Amita Murjani? No.
That's Hong Kong based. So.
Hong Kong, yes.
Yeah, Hong Kong based. But she has, she has basically, she was in coma, and then very bad. If you listen to her, it's a 1 hour 40 minutes. Of course, she has given many lectures. She was like completely crippled and finished. Like she was like her weight was like, some 20 pounds or something like that when she had this near-death experience. And now she is very robust and she has done so much work and so on. And anyway, I just wanted to kind of share that, this is subject of modern science, and they're finding breakthroughs. They're finding breakthroughs in mental health by the work that they have done on this near-death experience.
Vijay, Ashish ji has his hand up. Ashish ji.
Namaskar, namaskar to everyone. So, Maharaj, I was just thinking about how to connect our youth. So, Mr. Basana, I'm just kind of speaking kind of loud here, thinking aloud actually, is that what we have learned here, thanks to you and what you have done, it is awesome effort. Mr. Basan, this is most of it is kind of it's a good concept and theory, correct? What I'm thinking, how to practically basically have a approach, basically how can they become conscious, correct? And I know that even I was born brought up in Kashmir. We have no organized way to do it. I think we have lost that. Bro, I say Gurukula Asam, bro, I say Asam, guidance. I'm thinking, that there are these Gurudev, Sri Gurudev. So they have got, what I'm thinking, they have got very regimented apps and courses, which I think can be a good way for you to start, correct? So that they can feel, they can kind of feel that spiritual immersion, correct? And then they connect with Kashmiri Shaivism. I think it will be very easy for them to connect at that point, because as they are going through that Kriya, whatever, there we have got 2-3 different, and they are very good. They have got apps and they have got regimented tracking. Once they kind of feel in themselves that spiritual kind of a light, and then we basically expose them to our Kashmiri Shaivism, I think they will be enthralled, and they will see like all of us are kind of thinking, hey, what a treasure do we have. So I'm just kind of thinking loud here. Maybe that's one of the ways to do it, so that they kind of get started somewhere which is more guided, more regimented, more focused, and then kind of take the Kashmiri Shaivism to the next level.
Yeah, actually that's a good idea, I think. And actually Sri Ravi Shankar's one of his very close disciples, which is very high in his inner circle, is actually Kashmiri, my nephew. His name is Avinash Tikku, and I could approach him, and I know that they have courses on lots of things which are related to Kashmir Shaivism, like the Jnana Bhairav. They give courses on that and stuff. So, but we can see how we can kind of utilize that. But right now, what we are doing is we are letting youth, the meeting that we had a couple of weeks back, we are letting youth to utilize the content we have, basically by the youth for the youth. They will utilize this, and they are even talking about Shaivism 101. And we can utilize platforms like Sri Ravi Shankar's platform, or we could utilize other platforms. Actually, recently Shavai.org has kind of been doing some work on similar work that they have a separate channel for quantum Shaivism, and they've got separate thing for puja and rituals and stuff. And that's kind of more aligned with what we are trying to do. So we could utilize some of those forums, but youth may find their own way of doing it, because they have their own network, which goes beyond Kashmiri. There's a broader Hindu network, and they will be utilizing their latest and greatest social media tools and methods to doing it. And but we can talk. I mean, I will be talking to their representative one of these days, and we can give them ideas about utilizing these existing forums, because we do want to break barriers and break silos and do this thing in a more holistic and synergistic way.
So, Vanvaraj, before we close today's, Vijayji, what's the sort of the future? What's the next topic that we're going to delve into?
Mr. Bosan, maybe May, right? May the one next topic, or we'll do a deep dive on Tattvas. That's what I was thinking. But in the meanwhile, we also have to do this youth work. They are talking about doing something, and I'll have to kind of get involved with that. I think that is the more important thing for now. So we can prioritize, but वो सोचान कि मे च क्या तैयारी करमस मगर मे च बे तैयारी जरूरत क्या I mean maybe one lecture खतु तैयारी मगर I want to have 2-3 lectures खतु तैयारी the should we do it क्या in May June में हैको करित should we do it after 1 month, or do you want to do it in 2 weeks? I can do it in 2 weeks also.
No, let's do in 1 month if you need, because I saw your slide which you just said, I want to go through this, but if we need more time, I don't know, I'm open either ways. I just want to make sure that you have enough time, because it's a lot of work and a lot of reading, and then putting in the slides is not easy. Nobody cannot do it, let me put it this way.